It is November 1st, 2018. We're here at 3838 Haines Street in San Diego, California, 92109. We're going to inspect the sewer main. We don't have any access points, so we're here on the rooftop. We're going to try to go down the 2-inch vent. This vent is at the far east end of the building, so it'd be the very beginning of the system if this does drop and allow us to attach into the main. Here we're transitioning from DWV copper into some cast iron. This should be a 3-inch cast iron vertical pipe here, and we're now transitioning across. Let's see if we can make this turn or not, depending on what the pipe is doing. Okay, here we go. So we're now in the horizontal cast iron main sewer line. This is a 4-inch cast iron pipe. A little bit of debris in our lens, but we can still see most of the system right here. We don't have access to any of the pipes inside the units. There we go. Got a little bit of water right there. That'll kind of flush our camera off. A bit of debris hanging down there from one of the access points. So the 4-inch pipe is in good shape here. We don't see a lot of scale or deposits built up inside the pipe. Passing a few little mounds here and there, but we haven't come across a bunch of wipes or feminine products or the debris like that in the system so far. A little bit of suds in the line there from either the washing machine or somebody's kitchen. So again, overall good condition of the line for the age of the cast iron. We're going to go ahead and keep pushing out as far as we can go to see if this line runs to the alleyway or if this is making a turn and going into these smaller buildings of the units in between the 3820 and this 3838 building that we started in. Okay, here we have a T-junction right there, kind of on this somewhat downward turn. So that may be where that other middle building or one of them is dumping into this part of the system possibly. Definitely have a little turn on the pipe. Our camera lens is kind of scraping the wall there as it's trying to make that turn. Lost some of our view. So we're getting close out to a little over 90 feet from the beginning of this vent line, which is about almost 30 feet. So we're about 60 feet across on the system. Kind of stuck right here. We may need some running water to help push by this, or this may be just as far as we're going to be able to get on this part of the system. Still kind of hard to see if we're on a slight vertical downturn or true horizontal. No, it looks like we're on somewhat of a downturn. Our camera lens is kind of wobbling there. So where we're coming to a kind of a stop, I believe this is where it corrects back into a complete horizontal line. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pause the video for a second, and we're going to go ahead and try to pour a bucket of water down this vent, see if that can help our camera get through this part of the system so we can locate it. Okay, so you can see we have a bunch of water running down the system right now. Some tenants actually turned it on, their units, but we're still stuck at that transition. So this particular camera and push rod cannot get past this mark, which is, again, is pretty far out distance-wise, and based on where it's at, I don't believe a clean out would be a good location at that point, because it's after the T-junction, and it's again partially close to a vertical piece of pipe, which is not good for trying to run a cable back upwards if the main ever backed up. So what we're going to do is pull back the camera. As you can see, there's part of our vertical downturn right there. We're going to come back up to the horizontal pipe. So here we go. There's the T-junction. We've got some water still running by. Here's our horizontal. So this is right at the end of the horizontal before it makes this turn to catch the other part of the building. So I believe this is going to be underneath one of the units, but we'll go ahead and locate to see where this is at on the property just to verify. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we've from this spot located the pipe, and it's actually about 1.5 feet deep, and it's under the carport straight out from this building, and there's actually a sewer box right past this with a clean out. So you can see our line right here, and as we go forward just a little bit more here, that T-junction we see right here up to the upper left, that's actually the clean out access called the property line clean out. So before that sewer pipe gets passed almost into the alleyway, that's where this clean out access is right there. So now this only allows to go from, obviously from this spot a few feet out, the rest of the way from the remainder of this line till it attaches into the city, but that is a clean out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull back to where we had stopped, and approximately about 18 feet back from here, so going to be about the 70-foot mark, is going to be right past the foundation wall of the building. So keep looking at this pipe here as we pull back. Tenants have stopped running water, so we get a pretty good view of the pipe here. And we'll locate the line, and that's where we'll mark it, and it could be dug up for some clean outs to be put in so that the line could be cleaned out in both directions into the building if the main backs up in some of the units or beyond. So we'll leave our camera right about here. We're going to go ahead and pause the video to locate this. Okay, so we've marked the pipe right where we're at here. This is just a foot or two past the foundation wall. The pipe is only about 15-16 inches deep, and we've marked it with some green paint denoting the path, and then marked the depth reading as well. So we'll go ahead and pull back on the line now while we don't have water running to see if we get a little bit clearer view now that our camera lens has been washed off of the entire pipe here. So again, little mounds here and there, but for cast iron pipe overall, a minimal amount of deposits and scale buildup lining the walls of the pipe. A little bit of debris hanging down that pipe right there. Could be toilet paper, more than likely a wipe or some feminine products hanging down that vertical line right there. That could be coming from either one of the 2 units off that stack, or if it's back to back, it could be 4 units. Again, cast iron looks good. Not seeing anything needed as far as hydrojetting to scrape it up and clean up the sides. And it is intact. Not seeing any fissures or cracks or breaks in the line. Little swelling on the side walls, but again minimal, nothing that requires repair, maintenance at this time on this system. So coming back up to the beginning right here, in a few feet we'll be coming back up the vertical. Here we go. So we'll go ahead and pause the video, and we're going to go ahead and move over to the next building. Okay, so we just inspected that 3838 building. We've now moved over to the next small building that's next to that. So this is the one just to the south. We have one vent right here on the building. As we scan across, you can see two other 2-inch vents. So this is still the farthest away, since everything should be going again to the alleyway. So we'll go down this one here, see if we're able to maneuver down the system or not. A little bit of debris there on the vertical. We'll see if that, again, will lead us into the horizontal that we're trying to get into or not. A little bit of debris. We're going to put some water down the pipe here and see if that washes off so you can see what we're trying to get by here. This may be a hard elbow turn here. It's hard to say exactly what we're catching into, but being on the second floor, we're only approximately 20 feet out. This wouldn't be too far from the bottom horizontal line, but not typically exactly. It should be a little bit longer still. So it looks like this vent stack's not going to allow us to go through, so we'll pause the video and pull out the camera. Okay, so we've now moved over to the next vent on this same building. We're going to see if this allows us to get into the main sewer. We have one more vent after this one. So we can see right there we have a couple twists and turns on the line, and then another one and another. So we've got 4 turns in a row there. We'll see. Okay, we just got through that. Got some heavy buildup there. Wow, really heavy on that line. I don't know, that can't be a main. It must be another vertical line that we junctioned off. We're going to pause the video for a second to get some water down there. Okay, so we've got some water down that pipe. Droplets on our camera heads. You can see very constricted right there, but this is not the main sewer. This might have been a branch off and maybe catching one of the lavatory or kitchen lines, but same thing, this is not going to allow us to get by and into the main sewer. So we'll pause the video and move over to the last vent that we have an attempt to try to get through for this building. Okay, so we moved over to the last vent stack for this building, so we're getting close to the back side of the building. So we'll see if this does. The other two have not been successful in any way, so we'll see if this one gives us. Now it looks like at 18 feet we're already hitting a turn on the system. Let's see if we can possibly maneuver down this one and across. All right, now there's another turn right here. Okay, looks like we were able to maneuver through there. We're going to run a little bit of water to see if we can get pushed out a little bit further and get across this main. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we can't get this camera out any further. We've run tons of water and we just finally shut it off because it's kind of cleaned up the image. You can see on the right and left sides of the pipe on this, we're kind of in a channel. So this pipe compared to the other end building has a lot more buildup of deposits and scale lining the right and left side on the bottom, and then our camera sitting in the channel in between the two. So as the water is draining down, you can kind of see we're going to lose our image just slightly as it passes the front of the lens. We'll see how well it drains down. So we do have a little bit of heavier buildup on this pipe so far. What we're going to do is we have one specialty camera meant for small pipes that we're going to try to bring up here and see if that can somehow maneuver through some of these turns and maybe get out a little bit further. And we're going to go look in the alleyway as well to see if there happens to be another property line clean out off of the edge of this building. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so before we pull this camera out, the water is completely settled down, so you can see the very heavy mounding of debris and scale and deposits that have formed on the side walls on the bottom to the left and right of this pipe. So this main has got a lot of buildup in it. This typically you'd want to hydrojet out. You would need an access at ground level, and We still don't know if this line has a couple turns as it continues out before it gets into the other part of the main, because we did locate in the alleyway a property line cleanout. It looks like every building has a property line cleanout, very deep, almost to the alleyway itself. But it's off to the other side. So the vent stack that we're in right now, which is that third vent that we showed when we scanned, this is essentially on the south end of the building, southwest. Well, over the pitch of the roof is where the other vents are, or the first one, and that looks almost in line from that vent. If you were to go straight out, would be where the pipe is. So the pipe may be making some turns or twists to get to this section of pipe that we're showing right here. So it may or may not be accessible even once the clean out is put in, but we do want to show the condition of the pipe. So now we're going to go ahead and pause the video and try a different camera to see if it can possibly push beyond this point. Okay, so we're going to show this second camera trying to go through the pipe just to see if it's able to do it or not. This is a lot flimsier push rod, so sometimes you can't get the same long distance, but it's a little bit more bendable. So we're going to see if that's going to allow us to maneuver through this system in the right direction. Okay, ready right there. It's making the camera and piece go the wrong direction, actually. It's flip-flopping on itself, essentially. So let's see if that maneuvered the right way there, hopefully. Appears that it did. We're now able to move a little bit further down the line. So we got out to about 35 feet on the other run. It is getting hard to push already. So we're in part of the horizontal line right there. So you can see some of those mounds and buildup in the pipe there. We're going to go ahead and pause the video for a second to run some water. Okay, so you can see all the water cascading by. This is also not a self-leveling camera because it's a lot smaller, so the image is on the top of the screen. That's the bottom of the pipe. So we cannot get any further down the pipe. In fact, we're just a little bit less than the other camera. So not able to push this one all the way out, unfortunately. So this main line, we can't guarantee the exact positioning of the pipe. It could be dug up on the side of the building directly in front of the property line cleanout. It may be running in a straight line just like the first 3838 building was, but we can't guarantee that since we're not able to locate it. The other cleanout here does have a cleanout lid that could be cut off. There's a small possibility the camera could be tried to possibly pushed in reverse if the pipe is very shallow and steered in the opposite direction through that clean out T-junction. That's also not a guarantee though. So we'll go ahead and pause the video and pull this camera out. Okay, so we put this original camera back into this second of the middle buildings here next to the one immediately next to 3838. And we did go ahead and locate it, and actually this spot is literally a few inches past the foundation wall. So we did go ahead and mark it in the carport area right past this foundation wall. We got about a 20-inch in depth reading, and it's going at an angle, and it's headed towards that other cleanout because, again, in this second little building that we're in, we are essentially on the south side of this the pitched roof, and the cleanout is on the north side. So this pipe from here is running at an angle, and it may hit a T-junction, it may not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run some water down the other vent stacks on the other side of the pitch end of the roof, and if water cascades by this pipe, then this is the single and only main. There's not two of them leaving. So we'll pause the video. Okay, so gave it a few seconds. You can see water cascading through there. So it does appear that the farthest away part of the sewer line that we initially started from and is on the other side of the pitch line actually comes back this way. Then the sewer maneuvers and goes back the other direction to the alleyway. So kind of an S-shaped or zigzag way the piping goes from start to finish, essentially. So that means that there should be that one single line leaving the foundation, which is typical And so that's the area where the clean out should be put in, so that this line can be scraped and cleaned out, and if it ever has stoppages, also be cleaned up. So we're going to pause the video, move to the next building. Okay, so we moved our camera equipment over to the 3820 building on the opposite side where we started, in the larger long building here. Now, about the middle, approximately, we have a 3-inch vent. All the other vents are 2-inch, so we're going to go ahead and immediately start going down this 3-inch one, since it's going to make it much easier to maneuver and get down through here, hopefully, into the main part of the system. This building, just like the other 3, does have a property line clean out at almost the end of the line, but we're going to go ahead and get the condition of the pipe before it gets even close to that, and then try to go ahead and mark the path and location of the line. So if clean outs want to be installed, that can be done. So you can see a little bit of mounding right there on the right hand side, and a little bit on the left as well. So some smaller mounds here of scale and deposit buildup in the system. We'll see if it gets better or worse as we go down the line here. So those couple little tracks you can see, so that will have a tendency to cause things to snag and get held up. But with a lot of units in the building, there's a lot of water going down the system, besides when the harder debris has a chance to bind up. So there's a lot of water running through the system to typically wash that away from getting caught in that channel. But there's a little bit in there. Again, the first building, the 3838, was the cleanest. We found some heavy mounds in the middle buildings next to the 3838. So this one's got about in between of the two, and then we've got one more building, another middle building next to this building to check out as well still. So definitely some scale and deposits lined up on the wall there. Okay, here we have a turn on the system, and that is also looks like to be a clean out T right there, and that may actually be the T that's all the way out there in the end of the parking spaces. So I can see that that's a T junction right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull back from that 62-foot mark about 18 feet. Go ahead and stop right at about 45 actually, and we'll kind of see where we're at here. So right here we got a good view of the line. Again, you can see that build up on the sides. Nothing too severe, but we'll go ahead and pause the video to locate this. Okay, so at that 62-foot mark, that was the clean out T-junction, and right here where we pulled back to is about 1.5 feet, 2 feet past the foundation wall, so it's the spot where you'd want to put the two-way clean outs for the building. The pipe is only 10 to 12 inches deep. It's very shallow, even shallower than the first building, so we did go ahead and mark it with some green paint denoting the path, and marked the depth as well. So this building is all marked up. We're going to go ahead and pause video and pull back and go to the last building. Okay, so we've now moved over to the second of the middle buildings, the one that's closer to the 3820 that we just cameraed. So as we go over, we do have a 3-inch vent on the roof of this one, so we should have an easy access to get down into the main as well at ground level. There, the T-junction. Okay, here's our transition, it looks like, into the horizontal. Still in some vertical right here. There's a little offset. Okay, here's our turn into the horizontal pipe. Got a little bit of debris on the face of our camera. Let's see if this water we're running into kind of scrapes it off here. Just keep pushing down the line, and then we'll pull back. We might get again a better view as we continue. Okay, we have a little turn on the line right there. That is a T-junction, it looks like. Sometimes they use a T though just to make the turn. So we'll go ahead and push through that, continue down the line here. Again, the view's partially obstructed. We don't have a water hose on the roof for this building, so hopefully that'll wash off here shortly. Continue to push down the line here. Should be getting close to where there's also, again, another clean out in the alleyway at the property line edge. Okay, that looks like we're right at the property line clean out edge right here, so about that same distance the other building was out of, right around 62 feet or so. So we'll go ahead and do the same thing, pull back about 18 feet. So we can see a little bit of scale and build up on the line here, but again, our camera's kind of somewhat still clouded, so we'll try to pour some water down this system, but we're just going to go ahead and pull back first to do this location so we can get some water in the piping system. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pause and locate. Okay, so we've gone ahead and got a little bit of water down the system, and we've gone ahead and located this position of the pipe, and coming out of the building, if you're standing in the alleyway, to the left of where the clean out is, because the pipe is going at an angle as it leaves the building towards that box close to the alley. The pipe is only about 11 inches deep or so. We've marked it with some same thing as some green paint denoting the path and marked the depth. Now we're going to back up here slowly because we do have that T-junction, which does not appear to be used to catch two pieces of pipe, but a change in direction. And unfortunately, where we marked it at 40 feet is just a little over 2 feet past this, which is still close to the foundation wall. But if cleanouts were put in there, you would not continue in the pipe we're in right here. As we come up just slowly, you can see there's the T-junction right there. So the path continues off to the left when things are leaving, but it also continues off to the right. So we'll push forward again. If we're coming backwards up the pipe, if we put cleanouts at that spot, you would continue and you wouldn't be able to make that turn like we are coming in reverse. You would continue down a dead end possibly. So what we're going to do is put our camera right here on the edge of this T-junction to see if this is still in the alleyway or under the foundation wall. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we did locate this spot in the pipe where everything's coming from the units, and at this T-junction turn, this is still just barely outside the foundation wall. So this T would possibly need to be replaced with just a 45-degree elbow if the cleanouts were going to be put in for this building, so that you would not steer your cable in a dead-end direction of that T. So you can see there's a little bit of buildup on the bottom of the pipe there, but again, negligible as far as to the age of the pipe. Nothing too bad. A lot of debris again, just going to block up our camera face a little bit as we try to go through this. So we're just going to push back out to the property line clean out where we had ended. So this one's got kind of a flat bottom to it and some ridges, some heavy buildup on there that's, again, could cause stoppages. So it might be beneficial to put some clean outs in for the property. So just pushing to the end here in a few feet, and here's our turn at the property line clean out where there's a steel lid for that junction. So come back up again. Some buildup in the pipe. You can see some just folded over right there. So the line's got some debris in it. continue to pull back on the pipe here. Again, our view is kind of clouded, and we don't have access on this roof with the hose like we did, so we're just pulling back a little bit more dry. Here's the T-junction. So now we're under the building itself here. So again, there's some scale and deposits built up in the bottom, but nothing overly severe. But overall, the condition of the pipes is in good condition, and we don't see any need for any maintenance or repair on any of it. But we have marked the line out in the alleyways, not in the alleyway, I'm sorry, in the beginning of the parking spots just next to the building edges, so that cleanouts could be installed if there was issues with the system, so it would be properly cleaned out. So we're back out of this vent pipe as well. And again, this is the last building that we needed to do. This was one of the middle buildings, and this was the next to the 3820 building. There's the other small building, second one we went through. So that concludes the recording for this property.